President Bola Tinubu has charged ministers to look beyond titles and offices and stay focused on the day-to-day task of their individual and collective contributions to the transformation of the economy for the upliftment of Nigerian households. President Tinubu told the new ministers at the inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting that the country would rely on the experience, skill, intellect, and networking of those that had been appointed to make headway in the challenging times. Failure would not be explained away under his watch. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde has details.
The first inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting to draw the roadmap for economic growth and national development. With high expectations and a clear target set by President Bola Tinubu, the road ahead will definitely be long and tough. The ministers will work out how the country can wriggle out of a debt crisis that is serviced with about 90% of the country's revenue.
To reform the economy to deliver sustainable and inclusive growth, strengthen national security for peace and prosperity. Without security, there can be no investment. We must unlock the energy and natural resources of this country. We must start to produce for ourselves.
After the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, ministers disclosed the outcome of their deliberations and the resolutions reached. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy is driving the charge to revamp the economy and to do so without resorting to external borrowing.
And those are basically food security, ending poverty, economic growth and job creation, access to capital, particularly consumer credit, improving security, improving the playing field on which people and particularly companies operate, rule of law, and of course, fighting corruption.
The bias is towards action so that we get things done. I think it's very clear that the President wants us to domesticate our efforts within our own national context, but also to be very practical in the interventions that we make. And with those marching orders, we now have our work cut out for us and will continue to refine as the Coordinating Minister of the Economy indicated.
The Federal Executive Council meeting examined the President's 8 key priority areas that will be the base upon which this administration will develop a plan to stimulate growth and development. The mandate for the ministers across sectors is to create more jobs, ensure food security, and improve the well-being of citizens.
Mr. President manifesto during his campaign, he promised 50 million jobs, and that's our target. And you know, we will take it in phases. We're looking at different sectors of the economy that will contribute to this job creation. Chief among them is the creative industry and the digital economy. And then the agri sector and agro-processing zone, and mining, oil and gas. So we are very, very confident that we will achieve this.
As cabinet members, we have made our commitments to Mr. President, and I'm sure he's equally pleased with the kind of commitments that we have laid out today. And God willing, we should be able to achieve those targets within the shortest possible time.
The days ahead will be tough as time begins to count. The performance of the ministers will be closely watched by President Bola Tinubu, and the impact of the policy execution will be measured by Nigerians. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Well, joining us in the studio is a political analyst, Biodun Showme. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. The president said that the action and perhaps inaction of the ministers, especially with regards to the statement he has made, and that the lives of 200 million Nigerians rest on their action and inaction. Basically, that's where I wanted to take it from. And I'm wondering how critical it was for him to make these statements, give this matching others, and now we have 3 years to see these ministers act.
Yeah, it's quite very critical for Mr. President to actually send out the signals to the ministers on his expectations. It shows he actually clearly has a good understanding of the expectations of Nigerians and also the problems the Nigerian people are going through. When you look at his major step, which is to clearly define, what are the priorities for this very administration. One is that we need to ensure, we revive the economy, give new hope, to people, free resources with a view to invest in the critical sectors of the economy, which includes education, agriculture, provide them conducive economic climate, for investment, attract foreign direct investment also into the economy. And this cannot be achieved without security, which clearly it seems to have a good grasp of that. Look, we need to change the narrative from negotiating with terrorists or arranging for their freedom into tackling, banditry and terrorism from which clearly is chiefs, military chiefs have indicated clearly, and they've gone after the terrorists. And then straight down to the issue of social inclusion. Yeah. So you see the link between its attempts to revive the economy, by taking critical steps such as freeing resources through subsidies, then merging the exchange rate system to eliminate, those who are exploiting the exchange rate, the dual exchange rate system, and then free resources to be able to invest into the economy, right down to ensuring that there's security and then social inclusion in the country. It's not just about, a section of the country. It's talking about the entire country. That is, we need to have a combined and even development across the board so that everybody will be stakeholders, in the country, irrespective of where they live. And these are very positive messages, to give out right at the onset. I know the regime is at its infancy, but sending out those positive signals could help people to focus on how the regime or what the regime intends to do and help foreign direct investors also to clearly understand the direction of this administration.